Rick with the Travel Guide, and welcome to Nova Scotia!
Come on now, there's a world out there and it's waiting to be explored. Just pack your bags and hit the road. You gotta know before you go.
Nova Scotia is located on the east coast of Canada. Named after Scotland, it is one of the founding provinces that formed Canada. Some of the highlights include Brier Island, home of the humpback and minke whales, and Halls Harbour, site of the world's highest tides.
I came to Brier Island to check out Nova Scotia's biggest visitor, the whales. Imagine this, these whales are bigger than the boat you'll be on to see them. And don't forget your camera. I've been told they put on a great show. Pascal, I'm here.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. So what are we going to see on our tour today?
Hopefully find you some minke whales, maybe fin whales even. Hopefully humpback whales, we never know.
So how do I tell the difference between the three whales?
Well, the spout, the humpback and the right whale. When they go for a deep dive, they tend to bring up their tails.
You guys track the whales here, yeah?
Yep. They're regular visitors. They come here every summer to feed.
Do you have a favorite?
Probably say Lacuna. We've had him come underneath the boat, raise a little bit, rub his back against the boat.
So we cast off to find the whales. What are the...
Oh, don't touch it!
I was lucky enough to meet Captain Graham. He instructed me on the boat's instruments and basically told me not to touch anything. I was so busy talking to him that I didn't see the whales come up behind us. Hey, what does this do?
Give him a
Hey, sorry.
We can have bad repercussion.
How many different species do you get here besides the humpback? You get the minke.
We get the humpback, the minke whale, and the most endangered whale is the North Atlantic right whale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen many of them out there?
We haven't seen any this year, but last year was a record number of calves.
What's the average size of the humpbacks?
Around 40 feet for an adult.
And how about the minkies?
They get about 30 feet long. They're a more slender whale.
You must love your job here, huh?
Yeah, it's great, yeah.
The waters off Brier Island and the Bay of Fundy become a big playground for whales during the summer months. Whales usually migrate to cold waters to feed and warm waters to give birth. Amazing, these humpback whales are humongous, and Nova Scotia's filled with them. Look at that. Got it, but the best time to see them is between July to September. Halls Harbour is a place where you can see the world's highest tides. The tides come in every 6 hours, and that's known as high tide, and then retreat every 6 hours, and that's known as low tide. The tide is amazing to watch as it recedes and then flows back in. And this happens 4 times a day. I'm walking on the seabed of Halls Harbour. As you can see, these ships are resting on the mud. But in 6 hours from now, the water's going to come in, raise these boats to dock level. They can be boarded, and then they go out to the bay. Nova Scotians will tell you they have the best tasting lobsters in the world. And if you really want to treat yourselves, pop by a lobster pound. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a holding tank where they have all kinds of lobsters, from small, medium, large, extra large, and even jumbo. Let's go check it out. Lowell.
Frank, how are you?
Good, sir. Thank you.
Welcome to the Lobster Pound here in Halls Harbour on the beautiful shores of Nova Scotia.
Thank you. Well, I am looking forward to eating some lobsters. But first of all, give me a little bit of the history.
Back in the 1800s and early 1900s, lobster was considered a junk food and a poor man's food.
Yeah.
And it was so plentiful back then that sometimes when it washed ashore, they would feed it to servants and even prisoners. And when they were given this lobster for several days in a row, they were considered to be given cruel and unusual punishment. But the lobster industry has come a long way since that. This is what you call putting the lobster to sleep, Frank. There, you can do it too, Frank. You're doing a good job.
I put a lot of people to sleep, okay?
Me too.
Well, what's the purpose of putting lobsters to sleep?
The purpose is to relax the muscles and the meat in the lobster so that when they are fully cooked, they will taste better.
Contrary to people's popular belief, lobsters aren't really red.
No, they're not. Not till they go in the pot.
Holy mackerel, big he is.
This lobster weighs just under 11.5 pounds. I'll use a shell if he wants to cooperate.
Oh, That would be my hand gone in
Yeah,
that
it would
claw.
be. So he'd be approximately 75 to 80 years old.
Wow.
They're actually pinching me. Look at that.
So you reach in behind the front claws
And pick it up.
and pick them up.
Nice. Soul, that's the one I'll have.
That's the one you're getting.
Then it was off to the cooking shack to get my lobster cooked to perfection.
Minutes and it will be all yours.
If we do this right, you make a perfect mess.
This looks delicious.
The lobster came apart quite easily, but the claws were not so easy to crack. With the right utensil and a little muscle, I got to the succulent meat inside. The taste of lobster meat becomes even more spectacular when it's dipped in warm butter.
Just gotta dip it in.
Oh, go for it.
The Shubenacadie River is the place to tidal bore, and it sure gets muddy. Across the province is Peggys Cove, renowned for its rocky coast that dips into the Atlantic Ocean.
How's it going?
Good, man.
Made it down okay?
Oh, sure did. Can't wait to try this, but I have one question in mind here. What's the difference between tidal bore rafting and whitewater rafting?
Well, tidal bore rafting is created by the ocean. All of our rapids are created by the sandbars rather than the rocks in the rivers.
How deep is this water here?
Right now, not very deep, but in about 3 hours, it'll be up to the wharf where you just came from.
Wow. So on the way back, we'll see it that
Yeah,
high.
we'll be pulling in right up there.
Oh, man. I can't wait to try this. Let's go.
Yeah.
Before we went on our way, I suited up with a rain jacket and a life vest. Marty made sure my vest was snug, and then we shoved off. The water level was pretty low that morning. Mist was rising, and the scenery just spectacular as we waited in anticipation for the tidal bore. All of a sudden, without much warning, the water rushed in and started creating large whirlpools and rapids. Our boat jumped over the rapids again and again and again.
Marty, we got some air there, man.
Yeah, we're running pretty light today.
So how high do the rapids actually get? Is that the highest?
That's actually the small end of the scale. They can get up to 18 to 23 feet on the really big full moon and new moon tides. Yeah.
And how about the tidal bore? Like, what's the highest that you've ever ridden?
About somewhere between 14, 15 feet.
This is great. Just drifting down the river and just putting our feet inside the warm water. I've also seen a lot of bald eagles today, which to me is just amazing.
Yeah, there's been a big comeback on the river, so there's nests every so often.
Marty, thanks. It was an enjoyable ride,
Yeah.
man. Good job, buddy.
Before we went back to the dock, Marty wanted me to try one more thing. He said it was a tradition. Well, the tradition involved me walking up this hill with mud up to my knees at times. Was it worth it? Heck yeah. You'll see what happens next.
After a nice tidal bore tour and going through the rapids, nothing ends off the tour better than mudsliding. Let's go. Marty!
A mudslide and a mud bath. Talk about the ultimate spa treatment. On our way back, I asked Marty what was for lunch. And to my surprise, he told me he was also the chef, and to meet him in the kitchen for a local dish once I cleaned up.
I'm ready to learn how to cook something local.
Okay, right on. Well, we have some fiddleheads today that are picked fresh locally here.
Fiddleheads, what are they?
Yeah, fiddleheads. They're a baby fern, one
Okay.
specific kind that you can eat around here, and they're a local delicacy. The other thing is fish cakes here. We have some sea bass, summer savory, salt and pepper, onions, some egg, and mash it in the flour, then fry.
Let me know what I can do so we can have some.
Start out with our sea bass. This has been smoked and barbecued. We're just gonna grab our mashed potatoes, whatever you usually like in them.
Yeah, I can
Like
do
a
that.
little mash. You can do that.
Yeah.
And just add that in there and get it all smushed together nice and even. Yep. There we go. I'm gonna crack open a couple eggs for us here, Frank.
It's a nice workout on the arms.
Okay, now I'm gonna throw in the eggs and you can keep doing that.
Perfect.
Now I'm going to chuck in salt and pepper, and summer savory is a special ingredient here on the East Coast that people use in their fish cakes.
So you said that's summer savory?
Summer savory, yeah, it's a local herb that's grown mostly here, I guess. Now I'm going to throw in some onions, and that's our last ingredient to mash in. And now the fun part comes. Okay, how's that looking?
I think it looks good.
It's pretty good, okay. Basically, you're going to take a little ball of it, roll it up, give it a little flatten like you're making a hamburger.
Okay.
Just give it a quick dip in the flour, both sides, and we'll set it on a plate.
Something like this?
Yeah, that's perfect, yep.
See, mine's are breaking apart though. Oh yeah, you can smell it. Grilling. How long do they stay on before you flip them over?
I'd say about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're gonna take them, try to get the water off them as best you can. So you don't want to mash them up too much, just a little quick turn around there.
Yeah, the oddly shaped ones, those are probably the ones I made.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Love the smell. What do you think? Still a little?
Yeah, give them a flip. So that's the color you're looking for, is a golden brown there.
Nice.
And I think another few seconds those are done. So I'm gonna grab a bowl. Okay, so let's take these off. So there's your plate of fiddleheads to go along with your fish cakes. Splash of just plain old white vinegar, some salt and pepper sprinkled on top. So we're gonna take a little and put on the plate. There you go, buddy.
Oh man. Can I take these with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, let's go.
Man.
Not too far from the capital city of Halifax is Nova Scotia's most popular and world-renowned tourist attraction, Peggys Cove. Now, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. How did this place get its name? Well, long, long ago, people seem to think that a young girl got shipwrecked and washed up on these shores. A local family adopted her and gave her the name Peggy. Locals here wanted to see this miracle child, so they would always say, let's go visit Peggy of the Cove. So the name stuck, Peggys Cove. This fishing village's most visible icon is the lighthouse, set on a rocky shore facing the Atlantic Ocean. If you like taking photos like I do, this is the place to take that perfect postcard picture.
Just south of Peggys Cove sit Mahone Bay and the town of Lunenburg, famous for their pewter artistry and the Bluenose schooner.
Nova Scotia is just filled with beautiful, quaint communities like this one, Mahone Bay. I mean, just look at the picture you can get. When entering Mahone Bay, I was greeted by the 3 churches. These stunning buildings have been here since the mid-1800s. Walking around these small towns, you're going to see a lot of artisan shops, especially pewter, which Nova Scotia is noted for. Now, I don't know a lot about pewter, so I want to find out. Let's check it out.
Now, the molds we used are made of a rubber, similar to a car tire rubber. So what we'll do...
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Yeah, pretty flexible right now. So what we'll do is we'll make a cavity in this, and we'll place that wax sculpture in that cavity. And around that we pour a silicone. And basically that takes the impression of that sculpture. And then we'll cast from this our first pewter pieces.
We're gonna take this off so it doesn't catch on anything.
Safety first here. First things first though, we'll get you protected. Yeah.
Pewter is simply tin metal, but in the hands of an artist, it is sculpted into many beautiful items like jewelry, ornaments, and almost anything else.
Put our lid on. When we close this, 480 degrees dip, and then we'll just pour this out. But already that's hard to handle. There's no waste, we recycle here. Melt that right back down into the pot. This should be set up now. Pewter's about 90% tin.
Yeah.
There's copper, bismuth, and a bit of silver as well.
Next is smoothing the edges.
What we'll do is we'll just turn our machine on and just lightly sand that off.
Okay.
Smooth.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah, try her out, yeah.
Pretty trusting, are we?
Feel around the edge here, it's still kind of sharp, kind of rough, a little jagged. So we'll take care of that here.
Oh, wow, it's really polishing up quite a bit, and the shine of the pewter's coming out.
Perfect. Not
Really?
bad. Well, aside from it being a bit bent, but we can fix it and straighten that out, you know. But no, it looks good.
So I'm an artist like you now, right?
Just about. Just about.
Oh, getting there. The Bluenose was and still is Canada's most famous sailing vessel. It raced for Canada and was retired undefeated in 1938. Sadly, the original Bluenose sank in Caribbean waters. Today, an identical replica, the Bluenose 2, takes its place.
The town of Lunenburg is a beautiful community. It's actually more famous for having one of Canada's biggest icons docked in its harbor, the Bluenose. The Bluenose also is depicted on the Canadian 10-cent piece. I'm here to meet with Captain Phil, who's going to give me a little tour of the Bluenose.
Permission to come aboard, Captain Phil.
Come on aboard, Frank.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Pleasure to meet you.
The Bluenose 1 was what, built around 1921?
1921, just down at the end of the waterfront here in Lunenburg. And she was sold out of Lunenburg in 1943, and then sank in 1946.
And then the Bluenose 2 came along.
Bluenose 2 was built in 1963 by a local brewing family, and they sold her to the province in 1971, and she's been an ambassador vessel for the province ever since.
So I understand that the Bluenose 2 has the world's largest sail?
Yes, the mainsail there is one of the largest sails you would find on a working vessel. So the boom there is 81 feet long, weighs 3,500 pounds, and the sail is over 4,000 square feet. Which is, it's enough to carpet 2 average houses. So.
How long is the Bluenose?
So from the stern to the end of the bowsprit is 161 feet.
The right side of the boat is?
Starboard.
The left side?
Port.
Okay, so the front?
Bow.
Bow, and then the back?
Stern.
You passed.
I hope so.
I'd love to see the ship's going. Just if you can give me a pointer on how you actually navigate this ship.
Sure.
Thank you.
Come on back.
Yeah. Oh, what do that? Sure enough, we checked out the rigging and made our way to the stern. That's the back of the schooner. So this is the steering mechanism for the ship?
Yeah, that's the wheel.
Yeah.
So just like you do, you stand up in the box there. One hand on the wheel, you can look forward, you can see the set of your sails. Down just below there is the compass where you can see the course that you'd be steering. And
so this is about the only vehicle that you can actually steer with one hand, huh?
Well, actually you can't. Sometimes you have to put feet on it and everything else.
With so many crew members, I asked Captain Watson how he kept track.
A lot of them are given nicknames as time goes on, either from a specific incident or the way they look. Or
given nicknames, since I'm on the ship and I'm kind of like your crew here, what would my nickname be?
I think I'd have to go with Sponge Frank.
Okay, we'll go with that. What's your nickname?
Sir.
Oh, I understand.
Nova Scotia's capital is Halifax, home to the Citadel Fort, considered a living history museum.
The Citadel is Halifax's #1 tourist attraction. Originally built as a British naval station, this star-shaped fortress took about 28 years to construct. Now, the purpose of the construction was to protect the Halifax harbor from invaders, which never did happen. The Citadel is situated on top of a hill overlooking Halifax. Well, I'm here to meet up with Lance Corporal Michael Fox, who's going to give me my own private tour. Michael! How you doing?
Oh, hello. How you doing?
Good, thank
It's
you.
Lance Corporal Fox, actually. We're not quite on that first name basis yet.
Got it. But I've been told you're the one that's going to teach me the history of the Citadel.
So today it's a living history museum owned by Parks Canada. And we have soldiers just like myself marching around showing what life was like in the year 1869. So why don't we head to our first stop? That's the guard room right behind us here.
Perfect.
Come on in from here. You notice that sentry standing very still when you made your way inside. Well, this is the room that the sentries would be stationed in when they weren't standing up front here. So they'd actually have a 4-hour break in between their stands. They also have these day beds here that they weren't allowed to sleep on. The old story is that the sergeant would come along, and if he ever caught a soldier falling asleep on these day beds, he'd grab him by the foot and throw him right off.
Michael, why are the bagpipes so important to the Scottish military?
The reason for them essentially is to boost the spirits, boost the morale of the men when they went into battle. It takes about 7 years to actually make a good bagpiper, so it's quite a long time in order to learn one.
Oh, but I think it should be easy to learn the bagpipes.
No, it's rather difficult. Would you like to try?
Sure.
Corporal, would you bring some bagpipes over here?
Thank you.
We'll see how this goes.
All right. See if I can do this.
you going there for a second. All right, well, I got a special surprise for you if you follow me this way.
Of course.
So, how does it feel to be in the uniform of the 78th Highlanders?
I can't believe it. I have the same uniform as you do.
Yeah, that's right. So, a little bit about the uniform. We have the red coat. That's what the British wore in the 1800s. The British were known as the redcoats. Down below here, we have the Mackenzie tartan. We also have the sporran here, made of horsehair. You have a little pouch back here that you can fit your money in as well.
Oh, that's it.
Because there's no actual pockets in the kilt. And finally, we have the large feather bonnet. It gives the illusion of an extra foot of height. You actually wouldn't pass inspection. That's because of your facial hair here. You're not supposed to have hair right on your chin. The reason is when you bring your muskets or your rifle up to fire, you might set your chin hair on fire if there was a little spark coming out of the breech.
The surprise was that I was going to give the order to fire the noon cannon.
Oh! Oh!
Reenactors portraying the Royal Artillery fire the cannon at noon sharp, and man is it loud. You know it's lunchtime when this cannon blasts.
Signal gun ready, Sergeant! Time to run! Fire!
Nova Scotia's phenomenal. The only thing working against you is time. I mean, I walked on the Bluenose. I learned about pewter. I saw the picturesque Peggys Cove. I even managed to have a lobster and experience the history of the Citadel. You know, it really pays to know before you go. If you're planning to take a whale watching tour, remember this: wear warm clothing. Even though the sun might be warm, the winds off the Bay of Fundy waters and the Atlantic Ocean are bone-chilling. Nova Scotia has many phenomenal attractions, but because of the seasonal weather changes, some may not operate year-round. In order not to get disappointed, check the internet for their times of operation. The Bay of Fundy has the world's most extreme tide shifts, and when the tide recedes, you get this beautiful, inviting seabed. But be careful, there are spots with quicksand, and if you don't know the tide schedule, at any moment 30 billion gallons of water can overtake you, and that's going to ruin your vacation. Nova Scotia has a number of ferry services that will transport you and your car across the river to one of the other islands. But check the ferry schedule. Although they run regularly, you miss one, you may be stranded. The local ferry service will take you and your car to Brier Island, and they run pretty much 24 hours a day. But remember, you pay to get to Brier Island, but the return trip is free.
Now what do you think you're doing, Private McGreco? This isn't for candy. This is where you keep your bullets. Sick and tired of telling you that. Now get going. Right turn. No, that's a right turn, McGreco. Get back. Start marching. Get going.